Andrea, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very, very excited for this episode. And so many of my guests are in the UK, so everybody will know you, of course, from Loose Women, but I have lots of guests internationally as well. So for those of you that are listening abroad, Andrea is a TV presenter, a broadcaster, a journalist, and in fact, I say is because there's kind of been a little bit of a change in career recently, hasn't there, Andrea? Tell us all about your exciting new business.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to come on. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today. And yeah, it's a bit of a, it is, was, still am, what am I doing? So I'm a writer first and foremost, which always surprises people because people think, oh, what? Aren't you a TV broadcaster who just writes books on the side? But no, I'm a writer who found herself accidentally becoming a TV presenter for 25 years. And I fell into it and didn't plan to do it at all. Found I loved it and thought, well, I'll keep going with this and see how long I end up doing it for. And I ended up doing really well and working as a daytime TV host for, like I say, I worked for ITV for 23 years, hosting Loose Women for 13. I ended up becoming the longest serving anchor of Loose Women before I decided in 2020 that I just wanted to pivot and I wanted to really put my whole heart and soul into something I've been working on the side, kind of based on the books that I've been writing, but really based on my sort of true mindset and where my heart lies, and it's helping women feel good about themselves. So I quit my TV job to work with my husband on a business called This Girl Is on Fire, where the whole premise is just it's really simple. We just help women get brave, get confident, get going. And the reason I chose those words is because I was too scared for so long to do it for myself, and then found a way to do it. And I realized it's fear and lack of self-belief and lack of confidence that holds us back. So that's the sort of core of what I do now. But never say never to doing telly again. If the right thing came up, I would do it in a heartbeat. But for now, this is my proper job. I feel like I'm back where I belong.
Yeah, and I mean, because you started off you were weather girl, weren't you, to begin with? And in fact, I listened to did a bit of my research and listened to a podcast that you did with somebody else. It was a fabulous podcast interview, and you talked lots and lots about all of your past, and there's a fantastic story, I think, about how you became a weather girl, went for an interview for something completely different, and then ended up almost in the wrong room, wasn't it? Something along those lines. Forgive me if I know I haven't got that quite right.
It's close. It's as ridiculous as that. Yeah, I'd always wanted to be a writer from when I was really young. I ended up doing history, politics, and international relations as a degree because I've been told that that's a good starting point for journalism. And then I kind of lost my way with it because it didn't excite. It was great, it was interesting, but it didn't excite me. And so I kind of jacked it all in after I finished university, and I went traveling and I went backpacking in I think it was 91, 92. So, and this is all related to ending up being a weather girl. It was before the days of mobile phones, before the days of the internet. You went totally off grid, and I did it with my boyfriend at the time. And I just wrote really detailed diaries. I filled books and I would post them home as soon as I'd finished with them. I'd just post of all my encounters and what I'd experienced and my thoughts and feelings about where I'd been. And so when I came back, I ended up packaging them together as travel articles. And I found that was my kind of way of building my passion up again for writing. And I realized, no, the history, politics, international relations side, it just didn't light a fire in me. Whereas being interested in people and places and this sort of thing really did. And so I worked for free for a while for the local paper while I worked in a clothes shop to, pay the rent and all this sort of stuff. and then they wouldn't take me on as a trainee writer. And so I thought, right, where am I going to go that I can get a job as a proper writer? I'll go to London. That's where you get a job. So I literally, at the time my parents were living abroad, my mum had left behind her old Fiesta. It was literally the car I'd learned to drive in. And I just put everything I owned in the back seat of the car and drove to London. And I knew one person in London. So I slept on her floor, applied to college, got a loan, ended up living in a bedsit that was literally the size of a disabled toilet, because that was all I could afford. And at the time, I just applied for every job I could see in the trade press. And I mean, you know what it's like. Anyone who's just starting out knows what this is like. You know, I'd got my qualification, money was running out, and I was like, right, literally anything that came up. And I remember the job came up, and it was journalist with on-screen presence and interest in weather. And I was like, journalist, weather, I did geography A-level. Yeah, okay, I can do that. And I wrote them a letter. And again, it was post. There was no such thing as email back then. And somehow it turned out that it was a job to be an actual weather presenter. And by the time I got the message through to say I'd been chosen for an audition, I'd already had a job. I was working as a staff writer for a features agency, but the interview happened to be on my day off. And I thought, well, that's hilarious. And what I'll do is I'll write about what it's like to audition to be a weather presenter, because that's really interesting. Who hasn't often wondered, you know, what actually happens when you audition to be a weather presenter? So I went along, and it's the universe. Because I didn't want it, I was really relaxed about it. And I was interested and engaged, rather than thinking, I really want this job, which I've done many times before and since. And I've totally messed it up because I've been too nervous and too desperate. They can smell it on you, and nobody wants to be around a desperate, sweaty person, which is what I become when I really want something. But I was really chilled. And because I had learned shorthand, I was able to take all the briefing notes down really easily. For me, I just thought, okay, so all this is it's journalism. It's taking a lot of facts, breaking it down into a way that people understand, and making it into an interesting story. That's not a problem. So I put an A piece in, and they said, look into that camera and give us your weather report. And I did. And I ended up getting the job, which I thought was really, really funny, and was probably very annoying for everyone else who hadn't gone for the job. What then happened was I didn't go for it, and I ended up carried on working as a print journalist for another 2 years. And round about the time, I was just getting fed up of where I was working. I'd been promoted. I was production editor. It wasn't a creative role. It was more of a logistics role. And I got a phone call saying, your tape, again, kids, you won't even know what this is, but VHS tape has surfaced, and we're looking for weather presenters. Would you like to come in for an interview? So I did. I got it. And again, I quit a staff role for a 1-month contract as a weather presenter, because I thought, I'll go freelance, or I'll try something else, but I really don't want to stay where I am anymore. And it totally changed the course of my life. I became a weather presenter for the Weather Channel. I was trained in America, and then worked over here. And then I got made redundant from there, and I ended up working on GMTV as their weather presenter. And it was meant to happen. You know, it's really funny. As my granny says, what's for you won't go by you. It was meant to happen. And I loved it. I loved the whole experience of it.
Yeah. And, you know, everything aligned in that moment, didn't it? And like you said, the rest is history. So to speak. And, you know, and I really believe that we go through these kind of phases in our life, different phases. For me, it seems to happen in decades. I don't know why. It's like, I can look back and like the Deborah in her 20s was doing this. And then the Deborah in her 30s was, you know, becoming a mom and expanding her businesses. And the Deborah in her 40s, you know, and it's almost like, for me, there's phases of life. And, you know, for you, you've obviously gone into perhaps a slightly new phase, where you become a slightly, not a different person, but you just start to explore different sides of you, different strengths, different passions as well? Because the business that you have now is very passion driven, isn't it? It's very heart centered.
Yeah. And to me, so many people have said, oh, this is a whole new you. And I don't feel that at all. What I feel is I've come full circle. And actually, I've come back to who I was. And I think this is something that so many women do without even realizing that we're doing it. You kind of follow a well-trodden path that sometimes you don't even question. And then one day you kind of look up and think, I don't know how I found myself here. This isn't what I was meant to be doing at all.
Yeah.
And you can either panic and stay where you are because you might not like it very much, but you're used to it. Or you can panic and throw the toys out the pram and think, ah, and run. Or you can think, right, well, what is it that I am meant to do? And I think men and women go through this, maybe in slightly different ways. The big joke is obviously men go out and buy a bright red car and trade everything in. Women sort of go to a slightly different direction. I think it's a really normal human experience to, exactly like you said, to, in your different stages of life, whether it's in decades or cycles or what have you, just stop and regroup and think, am I where I want to be? Where I want to be, not where my parents think I should be, and not where my family think I should be, or the neighbors, or the mums at the school gate, or anything like that. Just put everything to one side. When I'm alone with my thoughts, am I where I feel I should be? And if I'm not, what can I do about it? And that's how I ended up where I am.
Yeah.
Full circle, taking a crazy plunge and quitting the job and starting again.
Absolutely. And you've obviously got this really brave side to you because, you went off backpacking and you came back and you quit your job that you had, to do something for a month. And, you obviously have always had that in you. But you mentioned just now something I find is really interesting. It's the courage to step out of the norm into something new. And the thing is, sometimes the norm isn't even very good. Sometimes the norm is a really painful, horrible position you may be in, whether it's in relationships or whether it's in job or, sometimes, but because we're used to it, it's safe and it's comfortable. It could be really quite horrendous. It could be a real struggle or a real challenge, but stepping outside of that, even if it looks like outside of that is going to make you happier and more successful, it's change, isn't it? It's changing what you're used to. And, for those people that might be listening, that, I don't know, maybe even similar age to us, that have been doing what they've been doing for quite some time, and it's become the norm, and maybe they're not happy anymore, but they don't know how to find that bravery to go and do something else. What advice would you give them, Andrea?
So I think it's a very normal thing in midlife. So whether that midlife can come to you, 30s, 40s, 50s, or beyond, to sort of realize at a moment that you don't feel like you are where you thought you would be. And that can lead to a great sense of disquiet. So picking up on what you said, this idea of, you might not like where you are, but you're too scared to do anything about it. The first thing I'd say is it's a really normal feeling to have. And the reason that it's normal is because we're incredible human beings, and we will take, think of it as like a cage, and we will build a little nest in it, and we will make it our own, and we will make it comfortable, and we will find a way for us to find comfort and to feel comfortable in it. And that cage can come about through all kinds of different reasons. It can come about through expectations that your family may have had. You may have followed a path that you didn't necessarily give too much thought to. It was just something that was expected of you. Or you even followed a dream that you really thought this was your passion and where you thought you were going to go, only to wake up one day and think, I don't think I like this at all. And I think there's so much shame put on changing your mind, as if she couldn't stick it out and she's so selfish because she should put everybody else in front of her. And what do you mean she wants to leave her job? And, who's going to pick the kids up from school? And I think the reason that there is that kind of attitude is because it's so much easier if everyone just stays in their box, because then life is plainer sailing for everybody else. And will there be anarchy if people were running around changing their mind and doing different things? And I think it makes people feel unsettled. If there's someone in the herd that suddenly looks around and goes, do you know what, I'm done with this, it can make the herd feel, hang on a minute, what does that mean for us? Because actually we're okay here. And so I think the first thing I would say is, one, don't beat yourself up if you're feeling that actually this isn't for me. And then what I would do is buy a notebook and start jotting things down, start breaking it down. What bit of it that isn't working for you, or is making you feel unsettled, or that you would like to change but you're feeling too scared to? So for example, if it's your job, is it your whole job, or is it just the place that you work, or is it even just a couple of people that you work with? Really break it down and have a look at it, and look at the different components, and then see what you can do to make changes within that. If it's your relationship, is it the whole relationship that isn't working, or is it just little bits of it that maybe have changed, and you're either feeling unfulfilled or unhappy or ignored? And again, I'm talking about the lighter side of relationships that don't work. Clearly, if there's a darker side and there's abuse, that's a very, very different conversation to have. But if it is, I would say your normal level of getting to a point where I don't think I'm enjoying this anymore, break it down. And what is it? Is it a tone of voice? Are you bored? Is it circumstance? And then what that means is, when you come to have a conversation about it, and I do need to break this to you, you at some point will need to have a conversation about it, you at least know what it is that your starting point is, and where it is what you would like to get from that conversation. Now, this is coming from someone who has been married 3 times. And for many years, I felt so much shame because I've been married 3 times. And I was not treated terribly well by other people when they found out I'd been married 3 times. There was a kind of quite a lot of sneering, and a lot of, well, she clearly, couldn't stick it out. She doesn't take it, she takes it too lightly. There's a lot of assumptions that went on. And one, nobody knows what goes on behind closed doors. So don't judge anybody by either how many relationships they've been in, or whether they've been married for 50 years and only 2 minutes of them are happy, but they stuck at it, or whether you've given it a go and tried again. And I realized actually I'd been looking at it wrong. And I don't feel shame now, because I can put my hand on my heart and know I tried my absolute best. It just didn't work. And it wasn't right for either of us. So it was time for it to end. Now, surely there's a bravery involved in
recognizing that. Yeah.
Recognizing that, and on calling time on something that isn't working, whether that is your job, the direction that your life is going, your health, if you're not as healthy as you would like to be, or your relationship. As long as you can put your hand on your heart and think, do you know what, I've really given this everything I can. Mm-hmm. I can look at myself in the mirror and think I've dealt with this in the best way that I know how. Years down the line, I might look back and think there was clearly a better way to deal with that. But my hand on my heart, I've done the best. If I'd have known better, I'd have done better. But at that time, I did the best that I could. Remember that you wanting to change and other people's reactions to it may not always be easy bedfellows, but that in itself shouldn't be enough to stop you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned shame. And I think that's a huge reason why very often people stay where they are. And the strangest thing is, shame is something that we tell ourselves. It's not necessarily something that other people have turned around and told us, oh, I feel ashamed of what you've done or what your actions are. It's all the story that we tell ourselves. It's our internal narrative, isn't it? And, you know, I think one of those other internal narratives, just slightly not changing the subject, but moving on in terms of different type of mindset, is that the whole we're not good enough. And you said at the beginning, you know, Girl on Fire, your new business, it's all about helping women to have that self-belief. And that's one of the big things that I also really champion with my clients and my customers, because, you know, I firmly believe we are capable of really incredible things. But you have to believe that you're capable of really incredible things. You know, and I remember reading the Michelle Obama book, Becoming Obama. And she mentions in there, you know, somebody has to grow up to be Barack Obama. Somebody had to grow up to be Oprah Winfrey. By the way, I'm so jealous you've interviewed Oprah Winfrey. We'll come on to that in a minute. She's literally my heroine. But, you know, these are all people that started life as normal kids kicking a football around. But somewhere along the line, someone or they had the belief that they could be great, that they could be more. And it's something I'm so passionate about. You know, I feel within my industry, you know, I help people that are running dance schools and dance studios. And so often, you know, they don't see themselves as business women or businessmen. They see themselves as people that teach dance that happen to run a business. And so the first thing I try to do is help them to have a stronger sense of belief. And then to say, is what you're doing fulfilling you? Or together, can we maybe make even more magic? Let's dream bigger. And is that something that you do in your lovely new business, Girl on Fire?
Yeah, and it is very much built around this idea that you're great as you are, but there's always little, and it's not you're great as you are, but that sounds terrible. But there's always little bits that you can add on to make you feel even better about yourself, because you never get fixed. And this is the great myth that I think that a lot of you know, self-help books as well. And I've written 4 books over my time. But the one thing that I would never say in it is, well, there you go. You're done now. You're never done. You're never done until you draw your last breath. There is always something that you can look at and think, oh, do you know, I want to learn a little bit more about that. And how can I improve myself in this sort of way? It's not about being, you know, the shiniest, the brightest, the biggest, the bestest. It's not about that. It's about being constantly curious about what you're capable of. And what you're capable of can be tiny compared to what someone else is capable of, but it's irrelevant because it's your thing. So again, it comes back to, you know, you talk about your lovely people that you coach and look after, who see themselves as, oh, I'm just a dance teacher who happens to run a business. I understand that, because sometimes the terminology that we use around what we do is terrifying. You know, I get really scared when people say to me, oh, you're an entrepreneur, because I kind of, you're a CEO. I literally look over my shoulder and break out in a cold sweat, because I think, no, I'm not. I'm just a woman who, I have this idea for this thing that I'm doing, and I put all my heart and soul into it. I mean, I even sold my house to finance it. That's how much I believe in it. And I surround myself with amazing people like my husband, he is an entrepreneur, and he is good at this sort of thing. I bring the creative vision. He brings the nuts and bolts and makes it happen. Just don't, again, it comes back to, don't beat yourself up because you're not a business person. What is a business person? A business person is someone who's had a brilliant idea and surrounds himself with people who can help them make it happen. That's it, really. And once we stop being scared of what the whole idea of a business person is, I'll give you an example. I've always been really scared of people in suits, because to me, they're like teachers or bank managers. And I always get a bit nervous if I know I have to go and do a presentation or do something like that in front of a room full of people in suits, because I immediately think they're so much smarter than me. And they're going to pick holes in what I do. And oh my God, they're going to ask me.
I feel like a fraud. Yeah.
All of these things. And then one day I realized, anyone who does performance, whether it's dance or theatre, whatever, there's the whole thing of just imagine the whole audience naked. That's never worked for me because that's just really distracting. It doesn't work at all. But what I do is I look at everyone and realize you go home every night and you have a home life and you put your comfies on and you make yourself some dinner and you watch some telly and you brush your teeth and you go to bed. You wear all the same. The uniform that you put on to go to work may be different from the uniform that I put on to go to work, but actually we're all the same. And I realized what my skill is people, and we're all just people. And once I kind of removed that fear, and again, I said it to Nick the other day, people say this ridiculous saying that, it's not personal, it's business. All business is personal because you do business with people that you feel a connection with. So therefore it's all personal. It's all about business. So what I'd say to your community is don't worry so much about this idea of, I'm a business person. What does this mean? It doesn't really mean anything. It just means that you're doing something you're really passionate about. And if there's a gap in your knowledge, either learn or find someone who already does that thing that you don't know how to do, because there'll be groups, there'll be people like yourself who'll be passing on knowledge. There'll be people that you can connect with who will help you. You don't ever have to do it on your own, and you don't have to know everything. You just need to know about what your passion is, and your passion is dancing. Brilliant.
You're looking to get precious time back in your life so you can make more time doing the things you love? DanceBiz is a class management and booking software from the lovely folk at Think Smart that will automate and streamline all your dance school admin. It's the perfect tool for all those tasks that just seem to take so long and will help you to work smarter, not harder. Message me today, folks, and I can give you a code so you can get 2 months free.
Yeah, and I think it's really relevant in our industry because a lot of dance school owners feel like going back to that shame, they feel shameful that they're trying to make it about money or that they're trying to earn decent money, because to them it's all about giving and nurturing and helping their students to grow and evolve and give them the wonderful skills that the dance brings to them. And so they feel a bit icky around the notion of, well, maybe I'm going to create systems, which means I don't have to write every email myself, or maybe actually I should be charging a little bit more, or I kind of really try to help people with that side of things, and also some shame around going to a business mentor. Like, I have so many fabulous members in my membership, but there are so many others out there that I would so love to help. And I know that there's, a proportion of them that kind of have a little bit of this kind of like, well, if I go for help, I failed. Or if I go for help, then it's because I'm not capable or I'm not good enough. And it's not about that, is it? It's about being able to just really maximize what you've got to make it even more glorious by going to find help through, other people.
There's two things that you say there that hit me right here, because I 100% have felt both of those things. The first was an awkwardness, and it didn't sit with me, the idea of making money out of what I do, because my primary goal is to help people and to help women feel good about themselves. And I tell you what changed my mindset on that was burning out and having a breakdown. And this is more common than people think, especially people who work in industries where you're in service, and it's whether it's making people feel great about themselves through dance, or helping children through dance, or amateur dramatics, or something that is in some kind of service. There is no rule that says the skill set that you have needs to come for free. And yet I did it so this Girls on Fire has been running for 4 years now. And it's only been the past 18 months that we've actually started charging, because I felt that, everybody should have access to what I do. And what I ended up doing was, while it was free to everyone else, it wasn't free to me. It wasn't free to run. Running the website as it was at the beginning cost tens of thousands of pounds a month. By the time I'd had designers and SEO people, and also I was making sure I was paying journalists the proper going wage for writing articles for us. Because again, who the hell am I to just call in a favor because I'm, doing something for free? That's not fair. And so I was ending up taking on every other job that I could, plus my TV work, plus coming home and trying to run the website with Nick, until I fell over and I couldn't do it anymore. And then it hit me. I am of no service to anybody if I end up falling down through the stress of trying to provide this service for free. I need to make this work for me so that I can make it work for everyone else. And that was when I totally shifted. So what I would say is, please don't do what I do and get to the point where you absolutely burn out, break down, and put yourself in financial difficulty, because what you're providing isn't providing for you first. They say put your oxygen mask on first. They do it for a reason, because if you keel over, you can't help anybody. So what I do now is I have different levels for what I charge. The lowest membership, the lowest charge for my membership is called Ignite, and it works out currently it's around 50p a day. And when our price structure is changing once we launch properly in July, and it will still go up to just under a pound, then the price levels go up in terms of what we offer. And I'm totally at ease with that. And there are people that will say, yeah, but you can get a lot of what you do for free. And again, your dance community will have that as well. Yeah, but I can watch a YouTube video for free. Why should I pay you to do this? My answer to that, if that's a concern of yours, is they're two separate things. There'll be bits that you will put out for free that will really help people, but that's not a business model. And anyone who is committed to learning, whether in your instance it's dance, for me it's personal growth. The act of paying for something means that you are committed to it. And that's not to say that it's doing a disservice to anything out there that is for free. Absolutely not. That's brilliant that that's there. But if you really want to commit to something, you will find a way to pay for it, even if we're talking pence and pounds. That's the first thing. It needs to work for you. It needs to work for you first. So don't feel shame in that. And then when it comes to mentors, second part of your question, when we're little, we're not expected to know everything. And yet, anytime you try something new, someone showed you how to do it. And yet, when you become a grown-up, suddenly you're supposed to have magical powers and automatically know how to do something that maybe you've never done before, or you've reached a certain level and you don't know how to go any further with it. And who decided that there is shame in asking for help, especially when you've got to a certain level? Whoever decided that is a damn fool. Because, as I said before, the day you stop learning is the day you draw your last breath. And of course you need to look to someone who has either done it before or is ahead of you in the game. And that person could be a coach or a mentor. If you go to the gym and you get a personal trainer, they train to do what they do. If you don't know how to swim, you wouldn't just jump into the swimming pool and think, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed, I don't know what to do, but I can't possibly ask anyone for help. And yet, why would we do that in life or in business? So I'm lucky. I've always had that sort of mindset. So I have a coach that I've been working with for the past nearly 2 years now, and I sort of report into her, and she helps me with my mindset. And then we have business mentors, because Nick and I both realized that, yes, we absolutely are committed to our vision, and we know where we're going. We're surrounding ourselves with good people, but they're all looking to us for all the answers. We don't have all the answers because we're at the front end. So it makes total sense to join a mentoring group. And that's what we do. We pay every month, and we pay a lot of money to be led by people who are way more knowledgeable than we are, to help us, and that we can go to and ask questions. Never be embarrassed for asking for help, or have a mentor, or have a coach, because admitting that you don't know something is so powerful. You're way ahead of people who don't admit that they don't know something.
Yeah, and that's the starting place, isn't it? Actually, admitting that maybe you don't know everything. Yeah. Because, in for my lovely listeners, they teach dance. They're beautiful dance teachers. They've done all the training under the sun. They've put the hours and slogged their guts out in a dance studio, and they're fabulous teachers. And then they become business owners for whatever journey that took them on. And then they suddenly say, now I need to design posters. I need to be a graphic designer. And now I need to know what customer service is all about. Now I need to learn about technology and websites and SEO and Google rankings. And so the list is endless. And so what we become really expert at, and in fact, pretty much all dance school owners out there would agree with me on this one, I think, we become very proficient at winging it. Getting up every day and winging it. And it's the point in which you stop and say, hey, actually, do you know what? The winging it bit doesn't really appear to be working for me that well, because do I have the income that I feel I deserve for the hours that I put into my business? Do I have the school and the students that I feel I deserve, or I wanted when I started out with this dream? Do I have the time on my hands to be with my family and my friends? No, probably not. Most dance school owners, in fact, most business owners, are there doing invoices at midnight and working on bank holidays, and and so obviously I'm bound to agree with you because it's what I do, but having somebody that can just give you that little bit of additional knowledge that you may not have yet trained in. I mean, like yourself, I don't know everything. I don't profess to know everything at all. I know quite a lot about my industry, but, I have within my membership, I have 10 experts, 10 professional people that are there in the background, so that when a tax question comes up, or when something legal comes up, I've got lawyers and I've got accountants, and there are social media experts and graphic designers, and, because I don't know all those things. I know a fair bit about, or I say a fair bit, I know a little bit about all those things, but to really answer nitty gritty questions, sometimes I think I can't do that. I'm not the person to answer that question. And so even within my community, there's me with my knowledge, and then there's a plethora of other people with their expertise, but backing and supporting me, like yourself and Nick, I have, a mindset coach, I have a performance coach, I have a sales coach, I have a business strategy coach. In fact, that's where you and I met, because we share the same mentor, some of the same coaches. Without that, I would be in a position where I was winging it every day. Mm. And if I'm winging it...
And do you know what I would add to that as well, is that a lot of the time it's very easy to, when you're starting to get discouraged and you feel, and you are working 25 hours a day when you're working for yourself as an entrepreneur. Anyone who thinks, it must be lovely just working for yourself and from home, you just must all be sundowners and coffees at 10. No, you never switch off. It is constant. It's constant. But what I would say is, they say comparison is a thief of joy. So you compare yourself to other people who seem to have it all together and seem to have it all figured out. It's really easy to get annoyed by that and to think, well, that's not fair. How come they're doing so well and I'm not? And, my business is really great and da-da-da-da-da. If you find yourself going down that route, let yourself have your little pissed off moment, because we're all just human. And then ask yourself, what are they doing that I'm not? There is bound to be something that they're doing that what can I learn from them? And you may even surprise yourself if you contacted them and said, I'm really impressed by you and what you're doing, and I can't get my head around how you're doing. Can you share it with me? You will be surprised that actually someone that you've been, as my granny would say, chuntering about under your breath. Oh, who do they think they are? Actually, it won't happen every time. Of course it won't. But, 8 times out of 10, they'll probably help you. Because one, they'll be really flattered that you've noticed and that you like what they're doing. And if someone is ahead of you and can see you coming out, and clearly as long as you're not going to nick all their, all their clients, they'll help you, because actually there is enough room for everyone, because we all do our own, we might all everyone might be dance teachers, but we'll all have our own unique little USP. For me, I'm a female personal growth site. There's lots of people who do what I do. They just don't do it how I do it. And I'm chilled with that. That's okay. There'll be people who really don't like what I do, and they'll never come to me. And I'm okay with that. And there are people who think that what I do is great, and they'll come to me. That's brilliant. There's enough room for everyone. So yeah, rather than go and ask for help, and rather than bitching and moaning about someone who seems to be doing really well, why not just ask them?
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that's so important to me in my community. Like, I've really tried to cultivate, and it's probably not that common. Well, I say probably, it's not that common in the dance industry for us to share, because there's a lot of, naturally there's competition, and, everyone's always scared about the fact that there's 10 dance schools in their street, and so people are very closed and generally keep themselves to themselves. And I understand that, I get that. But, to me, if we really want what's best for the greater good in the dance industry, then helping each other to grow and learn and provide better services for the kids, and to be able to retain and nurture our children, that side of business, and maybe even collaborate with some of the schools around you. We're way stronger en masse than we are by ourselves. And so what I try and do, and I think I've been pretty successful, I know I hear this all the time from my ladies and gents, I don't have many gents, but there's a few, is the fact that I've created an area, a space where people can share, like really share all the best ideas, all the things that haven't worked. Like, they're not embarrassed to say, oh my God, I did this, I stuffed up. Guys, don't do this. Like, learn from my mistakes. And it's part of what we do on our coaching calls. What are your wins? What are your wisdoms? And I'm sure that your community is just the same. Everybody's really there to empower each other, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And I mean, where I'm lucky is that, this Girls on Fire is a female personal growth site. So we don't have any business competition in terms of once you're inside, because everyone comes from all different walks of life, and they do different things. And they're all walking the same path in terms of that their end goal is they want to feel really good about themselves, and they want to work on whatever little niggles it is that they feel like they need to work on, whether it's their confidence or what have you. And what my favorite part of it all is not just when someone messages me to say, oh my gosh, I love this masterclass that you did, and I've taken away these points, and actually I mentioned it to my husband, and he's now started doing this, and my girlfriends or what have you. For me, my favorite part is we're in an app, so you can get this Girls on Fire on the App Store and on Google Play. And once you download the app, there's apart from all the classes, there's a central activity feed, which is very like Instagram or Facebook or something like that, but it's like a private one, so no one else can see it. My favorite thing is when women just post about their wins or their challenges, or just a really nice sunset that they happened to see while they were walking the dog. It really doesn't matter. And my favorite bit is I feel like a mum when I sit back and I can see them all piling in and supporting each other.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. And to me, that's what it's about. I like it when I can just sit back and I don't have to respond to everything because someone else is doing it. We have women in there who are going through some incredibly challenging times, whether it's we have women who are really sadly going through cancer right now. We have women who are in a very difficult part of breakdowns of relationships. And we also have women who are empty nesters. I also have younger women who are in their late teens, early 20s, who are moving from college life into the working environment. And I have women who are heads of companies who are being headhunted, who have started out whole new businesses and have started out businesses within the company that they work for because they feel really passionate about it. So kind of at all ends of the scale and all different parts of life, equally, they all support each other. You know, I love it when the older women help the younger women. I love it when the young women go girl to the ones who are older. And so for me, you know, this Girls on Fire, much the same with you. It's not about age, it's about attitude. Your attitude is ageless. If you have a fixed mindset where you think, well, this is just how I am, this is just how life is, well, guess what? Nothing is going to change. Your life is going to stay the same. And if you're fixed in your misery is never going to change. You need to have a growth mindset. You need to be flexible. And for me, helping these women surround themselves with other people who have a flexible growth mindset and then stepping back and watching the wondrous stuff happen, I feel like that's dropped the mic for me. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And I call all my ladies and gents, they don't mind, they're all my queen bees because they've all got their own hives. They've all got their own beautiful kids and adults, and they're all programs and their businesses, and they're all buzzing around, you know, trying to do the best they can for them. And yet within my hive, I've got all these amazing people that are all trying to do the best they can for others, but we're all there to support each other in that journey. And it's just, yeah, it's very beautiful, isn't it, to feel like it's not about me. Someone said to me once, because my closed group, my closed Facebook group for my members is called The Hive, and someone said, oh, so you're the queen bee? I said, no, I'm not the queen bee. I'm just the facilitators. I'm just the facilitator for my queen bees. You know, that's quite different. And you know, it's so lovely to hear how you're doing something very similar, but obviously slightly different model, but it's the same. It all comes from that same purpose, the same reason, doesn't it? Yeah. Andrea, I could just chat to you all day. It's just so wonderful. I do have to ask you about Oprah Winfrey because I can't finish without finding out what my heroine, I mean, I don't have to say what was she like because I'm sure she was beautiful, but how did you cope with the nerves of interviewing Oprah?
Well, I didn't sleep a wink the night before.
Oh my gosh, I can imagine.
Not a wink. I was so scared because how do you interview the most influential female on the planet? How do you interview someone who is known as being the biggest interviewer in the whole world? What do you wear? Oh my God, what if I forgot my own name? It was on live TV. So
it was live. It was
live, yeah. So millions of people are watching. And we were really lucky and we got the scoop. So everyone would have been watching media and, you know, all of that. And so the only bit I put on my interview of Oprah Winfrey on my website is just me going, Oprah Winfrey, because I just sweated my way through it, is the honest answer. And there's just lots of pictures of me nodding, not quite believing that actually I'm interviewing her. What was she like? It's just, you're just in the presence of Oprah Winfrey. It's you know, it's so hard to describe. It's like the planets align and the whole energy shifts in the room because it's like the Queen's arrived. And you know, Oprah Winfrey and the Queen must think that the world smells like fresh paint and nervous people. But she was very gracious and she was very professional and just did what she needed to do. I wish I could say that I met her personally. I went to an event she was at the night before and I tried to meet her the night before just because I thought it would make it easier for the next day. But she's surrounded by many people who you are not allowed to get anywhere near Oprah Winfrey.
Wow.
But, what I will say, and it's not a very elegant thing to admit, but I'm all about the honesty. How did I cope? I wore panty liners in the armpits of my dress. Literally tucked them into the armpits of my dress because I just thought, I know I'm going to nervous sweat because it's Oprah Winfrey, and I don't want to be so embarrassed about I'm on national TV live, and oh my gosh. So part of me was just thinking,
so funny.
Fall out. Please don't let it fall out.
Normally us women are worried about our chicken fillets, but then you're worried about the panty liners under your armpits.
It's a top tip, honestly. If anyone is doing any kind of presentation where you're nervous, honestly, a normal little box of panty liners and just put them under your arms. And I'll tell you who told me this tip. It was a stylist for men. And she'd had to help men who were very nervous under the hot lights of TV, and men naturally, sweat a little bit more than the ladies. And she said she did it without many of them even noticing. She'd press their shirts and then stick 2 little panty liners in the bits under their armpits.
That is
and I was like, that's a good tip. So there you go. You can have that one.
Thank you so much. We will take that. Now, before we shoot off, I know I just quickly asked you the Oprah question, but I like to have just a very quick bit of fun at the end by just throwing some quick fire questions at you, and just whatever comes into your head. Mm-hmm. So is that okay with you?
I love it, because I really love quick fire, not prepared for questions, because who knows what's going to come out my mouth. It's great.
Amazing. Okay, here we go then. So, favorite business book?
The One Thing. I can't remember who wrote it.
Yes, I've got it on my shelf. Yes,
yeah.
I do know what it is. I'll look it up later. Favorite place in the world?
Barbados. Love Barbados.
Favorite person that's still alive and they can't be family or friends?
That I've actually met and really like, or just someone that I think, oh, you're amazing?
Don't mind. I'll let you choose.
My sister.
Can't be family or friends.
Oh, damn it. Oh, okay. Sorry, Linda. You nearly got in. I can't think. Someone who's not family or friends, because that's just who I would normally go for. Michael Bublé.
Oh.
And I'll say that because I've interviewed Michael Bublé 3 times, I think. And every time he is the nicest human. And I'll tell you how I base that on. There are many celebrities that you meet who are super lovely as soon as the camera comes on, and they are not so super lovely when the camera goes off. And Michael Bublé is adorable to everybody in the room, whether the cameras are on or off. And I kind of base whether I find someone lovely or not in such as, would I want the conversation to carry on if we just went to the pub? And I 100% wanted to go to the pub with Michael Bublé. So
I don't blame you. I think most of the people listening wouldn't blame you either. Okay, next one. Favorite ice cream flavor?
I am lactose intolerant, so I can't have ice cream, as in the normal ice cream. But during lockdown, I discovered that Magnums now do vegan Magnums, and they are my utter downfall because I totally love them. So vegan Magnums.
Amazing. And person from history that's no longer alive that you would love to sit down with for 15 minutes?
We're alive. Joan Rivers.
Oh, really? That's an interesting one.
Because, and I was thinking, the first person who came into my head was actually, what was her name? Judge Ruth, the woman who died recently, and who is an incredible. She was one of the supreme judges in America, and she was responsible for incredible changes to do with women's rights in America. Ruth, she's got glasses and her hair was tied back. I can't remember her name. And I thought, but she's really interesting. I bet she's got the inside gossip on so many things that we've heard about but don't know about. And I thought that would be nice and interesting, but actually 15 minutes, that's not very long.
So got to be Joan Rivers.
Joan Rivers, she'd be hilarious. So yeah, Joan Rivers.
Well, that might be the same person for my last question. What would you spend your last hour doing that doesn't involve family and friends?
My last hour. I would hope that I would be somewhere really warm.
You're in Barbados with Michael Bublé and Joan Rivers.
Yeah. Oh my God. How amazing. I'd be sitting on a beach with Joan Rivers, just her making me laugh.
With Michael Bublé singing to you in the background, drinking cocktails.
Yeah. What a way to go.
What a way to finish our interview. Oh, and Andrea, such a wonderful, fun time with you. Do let us know about your book, because I've just read it. It's fabulous. I love it. But let everybody know all about it, and anything else that you'd like to share with my listeners.
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's been a blast. Thank you. It's been so much fun, and I hope I've helped in some sort of way and given a few little pointers. If anyone's interested in This Girl's on Fire, we're available on the App Store, on Google Play, or if you have a look at my website, which is Andrea McLean, just Google me and it'll come up. Everything about This Girl's on Fire is on there, everything you could possibly want to know. And in terms of, and I'm glad you enjoyed my latest book, which is called You Just Need to Believe It. And the reason it's called that is because we all believe something. We all believe something about ourselves. And most of the time what we believe is not helping us. So why not flip that around and believe something really positive about yourself? And exactly what you said right at the start of our conversation. You need to believe it before you can do it. And the book just shows you how to feel brave and flip that around so that what you believe that you can achieve is actually something that is incredible rather than something to be afraid of.
And I highly advise everybody goes out and buys the book. I think I actually bought the Audible version because I tend to get through books if I can listen to them on long journeys. So I loved listening to you narrate your gorgeous, lovely book. So thank you. Everybody go and listen to it or download or buy the book and go and all the rest of the information will be in our show notes. So thank you so much and all the best with Girls on Fire. And I look forward to maybe seeing you on the screen as well. Who knows?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks, Deb.
Bye-bye.